Hi Nishta. This is Pratiksha Chavan, a member of Mula Foundation. Today I'm very excited to conduct this video series of Mula Foundation regarding the IMO challenge which we had conducted with an objective to to create an policy enthusiast to know about what how they are really into this policy background, and we really wanted to know what are their experiences and what are their opinions regarding this. So yeah, so let's begin with this, like coming 2 months of this journey of IMO challenge. So we are looking forward to the young budding policy enthusiasts will come up and share their opinions. So, like Nishta, about you, how much I know is you are a second year, right? A second year, a political science student, sorry, at Kamala Nehru
Yeah,
College. Yeah, right?
I graduated to third year of BFE, so it was
Okay,
like in
okay,
last session. Yeah, so
okay,
yeah,
great.
I
Yeah,
transitioned to third. Yeah.
okay, okay. And you have an experience in research and content writing, as well as you are feminist in progress and has interest in human rights and labor studies.
Yeah.
Uh, Nice, very nice. So, yeah, let's begin with you. Let's have an interactive session regarding this public policy. The topic the paper which you have shared, like that's a really sensitive one. So, what are your, opinion on that topic that we want to know?
Okay. So the reason why I chose that topic because I really wanted to test the boundaries of myself as well as where policy approach in whole can go. So we all say that public policy is a tool for social change, but then I just wanted to see if we can approach issues which are taboo or which people are afraid to touch, because obviously policy in a country is propelled by politicians and they are not inclined towards going towards those issues which can jeopardize their uh, careers in politics. So I just thought, as a student and as someone who could, let's give this issue a fair research. And so I went ahead with this topic of laboring sex workers policy. Because, and in my research, I realized that there are actually no policies which regulates sex workers and their work environment, ensuring them a safe working place, ensuring them a right to wage, ensuring that their families are not harmed or their earnings are not taken by middlemen or pimps or whatever. And also, then when we talk about sex work industry, there's also this very important and sensitive issue of human trafficking, because lots of human trafficking victims are women and girls, and then they end up as sex slaves. So there is an also issue. But then when you research about it, you realize that maybe sex workers can play a first-hand role. They can be the first informants to track down key. Okay, these are the victims, and they shouldn't be here, and they are somehow here, so that they can help you trace down the trajectory or the racket through which they ended up in such a place. So therefore, since I have an interest in labor policies and labor rights in general, so I thought, like, why not treat sex work as just another, you know,
Yeah,
unorganized a work in the unorganized sector, like so that you have the migrant. I mean, now the labor policies have gone under tremendous change, but acts such as the Migrant Workers Act, and which used to regulate the unorganized sector, should be extended to the sex work as well. So because there is the problem here is that the conflation and how government has not been able to address it properly. So yeah.
right. That's really great. You have come up with this topic, and such a sensitive topic where like a very less few number of people come up and put this front of everyone in front of the society. So, uh, so one more question from mine was, like since you have mentioned in an article about the governance, what policies they have, and you have just mentioned that there are no access policies. So, what can we do? What can we approach to the government, or how should be the laws and regarding, those sex workers? How can we, normalize this, the taboo, the stigma around our society?
I think the number one problem that the government can look into is that to deconflate issues and identities. So I think one mistake that the policies which are affecting or which end up regulating this area is that they tend to mix the experiences of the girls and women who are of legally consenting age. You cannot keep the two in a category. Children below the age of 18 cannot give consent to engage in such a work. So the policy to regulate them has to be different for someone, a grown up woman who is in charge of her own life and the job she wants to do. And yeah, and the regulations to protect her have to be different from someone who is not, who cannot work, who is like underage or someone else. Also the issues, so number one point is to separate the two, right? So I mean, a ministry itself is called women and child, so they kind of end up, it's a common mistake that in most policies you see is that women are either associated as mothers or as connected with children, or both of their experiences end up getting mixed. So another problem is that in society in general, there's not much recognition of sex work as an industry that should be regulated like a workspace. So then, first of all, then there's so much taboo to get into sex work, and then there is so much taboo to get out of sex work. Like for example, because people do not indulge in sex work for once and for final, right? Maybe they want to step out of the industry. What about the children of sex workers? It's very difficult for them to step out of that identity, to shed that identity, right? So um, programs such as the skill development programs or education programs should have such like special extensions. Make sure that the areas where such where these people live, like the sex workers live, like the JB Road or the in the Songachi area in Kolkata. So obviously, I mean, these are just popular names, and a lot of community-based organizations and NGO have already been working in these areas to check the age of people who are working there and provide them with regular medical checkups and making sure that they can support their families, because there is a law. So the laws made are so hilarious. I shouldn't say it, but they just completely neglect the experiences of sex workers. They think that a sex worker does not have a family, which can include elderly parents, spouses, or children who are above the age of 18. So in order to protect them from people who are living off their income, or taking control of their incomes like middlemen or pimp. So the law states that any person above the age of 18 uh, living off the income of a sex worker is a criminal in the eyes of the law and is entitled to punishment under IPC. So that doesn't make sense, because that person above the age of 18 can be a child who is above the age of 18 who is in the care of the worker, or could be an elderly parent or a spouse. So that has to get out of the policies which regulate sex workers. And also that maybe some liberty should be given to sex workers. Some law has to trust sex workers. They should not see enough them ki, okay, thoda sa bhi, if they're given liberty they will create nuisance or something. So I mean, they are equal workers, they are just living and earning for their families like everyone else. So why have special restrictions on them? So yeah.
Yeah. So, whatever you have said is definitely, a matter of concern, and definitely, I think people should, listen to such people who are coming up and speaking about this stigma and this taboo. So also, this sex workers, this is a kind of a job they have. That's their roji roti. You can see, the whole and soul of everything. Do you know like the few people like who have been sex workers and they have in their coming lives they've created an organization and they have uh, brought up a child and did their education and everything through these earnings which they did from the laboring sex work. So do you have some examples on such people who are there in our society, in our industry? I have heard like of one or two, one Thai name, some I don't remember her name, but she had a daughter and she raised her, and today she's in a good education school sector, and she's working with them and she has started her own organization. When people won't look at them as a this is she's a sex worker, but then there's a other point of view. No, they've come up a lot ahead and they're doing for their living. So
Yeah.
this taboo needs to be changed. And like, tell me a few examples, like if you have read or you've come to know.
Okay, so I mean, in pop culture, you have a couple of those star examples.
Yeah.
Although, in general, well, on the famous one, taking the famous one, there's this movie coming out on Gangubai Kathiawada, and then even in other countries, you see these stars, those who were strippers or exotic dancers or sex workers pehle, and then they made their way into other careers. So I mean, yeah, they are famous, but then not everyone has to or wants to get into glamorous job, or maybe they want to continue as sex workers or maybe get into a normal life. There's maybe become a teacher or get into some other professions. So I mean, yeah, right. And then so the getting in and out of the situation for a common person who has not ended up becoming famous or having ended up, because like Gangubai Kathiawada ended up having like ties with underground dons and everything. So I
Yeah.
mean that's like an extraordinary situation that some people are able to get in. However, a common sex worker should not have required to get into these extraordinary connections or networks. It should be like, for example, if a person is a carpenter and then they want to just work on their skills and maybe own a furniture shop or get into the furniture industry or whatever, so or maybe a home decor industry. So in order to switch a job or an industry, it's not a big deal for them. At least, and by that matter of fact, they will be praised for it, right? So similarly, like a carpenter working off his labor, a sex worker is also working off their labor. They're not selling their bodies. So for switching industries for them should also be, destigmatized and allowed in law, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, policy
Definitely.
should be directed to enable and empower them
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. uh, we we can't even imagine the life of a brothel worker. We can't even imagine. So mm, people are experiencing this, the society is coming and abusing those people, like some, if they're walking in front of us, and they tolerate people who are a sex worker, and how do you manage your life and everything. So our government needs to come up with some policies and not look it in a negative way, and that's their labor work and that's how they earn. So what are the measures like currently you in the earlier question you had mentioned? So what is your opinion, like what our society should do? Like two, 3 points if you can mention. As a youth, we can change the thinking of our society and come up with some ideas.
All right. So I think there has been, awareness to some extent because as a young person, assuming a person going to college, exposed to diversity and all sort of opinions. So I mean, a young person is tend to be more aware of them. However, in the mainstream, like if we cannot go and talk about, the lives of sex workers at our family dinners. So
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of level of comfort will obviously take time. However, in order to make it so like we start talking about an issue when government talks about it, right? So if government is talking about migrant workers, we can see that people in our family are talking about migrant workers now. They are worried, okay, they have to leave their family, they're forced to go back to their homes when the pandemic was in its initial stage. So but then there wasn't much talk about sex workers because then they are also migrants. Actually most of the sex workers are migrants, belong to the LGBTQ community, LGBTQA plus community, and are belong to the and Dalit community as well. So I mean these intersections are extremely undeniable, and let alone sex workers and in the media and which is supposed to shape public opinion have constantly we've seen that they exclude them when issues about them are raised about migrants or Dalits or LGBTQ community. So media definitely has a role to play, and also the policymakers or the government and the politicians, those who play a great role in policy. they should also realize that it's high time that we've treated all professions equally. And obviously, treating all professions equally doesn't mean that you disregard the historical discrimination they have faced. So some affirmative action is also required, as like providing them with special skill trainings, and also uh, allowing them to have a safely have families to take care of, safely have homes to take care of, safely have a workplace to conduct their work. Legalizing brothels doesn't work. It's like their workplace, and then when their workplace is shifted to dark illegal shadows, then you cannot ensure that their health is not jeopardized or the safety is not jeopardized. So they, as a worker like you and me, they have a right to a safe working place and healthcare and children and education for their children, and and healthcare for their families. So yeah, I mean, these benefits of a worker should be extended to them. So yeah.
Like absolutely, like we can do this, and the government should look after this issue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nishta, for your wonderful, opinion on this policy concern. Also, I would like to ask you one last question on how would you like to share your opinion on our experience with Mula Foundation for on this IMO challenge? So, like the two months of this IMO challenge we have conducted, and this is the final video series which we will be sharing. So, what is your experience? So, what do you like to share a few words on for Mula Foundation?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Muller Foundation for giving us this platform where we could literally just set free our minds and think in any direction and test the limits of our thinking, and come up with things we wanted to say about things, because all of us have things that have made us uncomfortable, and we often think about them, but then we are not able to approach them in a specific way. I mean, I think Mula Foundation has this challenge specifically has made me realize that uh, there is always a way to approach a problem, or for social revolution or social change through a policy and take an academic approach and a research based approach, because then obviously we're getting carried away by the sentiment is not the answer. But however, such a challenge empowered us to take an academic approach and a research based policy approach to address such problems. Well, we can't really assess if our ideas were like able to convince a lawmaker or a policymaker, but it did help us, to make like aware, like gain knowledge, like on a
Yeah,
personal level at least. So yeah,
yeah,
right. Although we
definitely.
didn't engage with, yeah. So I mean, on a personal level, at least it has been of immense benefit, I would say. So yeah, a wonderful
Great.
opportunity.
Great, Gil. That means a lot, and we are really thankful to you too for sharing a few words on this policy which you have put forth. And it's glad we had you as a participant, and we look forward that you be a part of Mulla Foundation for the upcoming sessions. And stay tuned, and you know get a platform where you can put your opinions and the feeling of getting to approach the society through a platform.
Mhm.
So Foundation is here to bring those scholars in front of the society. So I would like to thank you again for coming up and sharing your opinion. Thanks a lot, and it was a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Mr.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Pratiksha.
Thank you. Thank you.